Hi YouTube, just want to make a quick video talking about the things that I would have liked to told myself or know on my way to leveling up, because I've rushed towards getting to level 50 and I don't regret it, but I wanted to tell myself a couple things and I thought I would tell you the little things that I would try to focus on, because this game is very resource intensive. Like, they will give you a lot of resources and you think that it's just, you can use it on the world, right? You can level up everyone, you can do anything, but it is actually pretty tight in how much they give you. They give you just enough to do 6 characters, which is important because it is just for 6 characters. Once you start going off the path and doing more than 6 characters, you're going to start realizing that the resources they give you will spread thin. I started leveling up a whole bunch of characters. I don't really regret it necessarily, because the fun of the game is being able to experiment with all different kinds of characters. However, it has stifled my growth a little bit, and I have to use stamina on things that I wouldn't want to, and I know you probably wouldn't want to either. You wouldn't want to use your stamina just for money, because that is what I'm doing right now. I'm spending my stamina just to get money and just to get XP, which I wouldn't have to if I had just focused on 6 different characters. And that's what I'm going to be telling you. You should just focus on 6 characters. Like, if we come into my Magna and then we have to use all this XP, right? I believe I'm going to use all this XP and not even get to level 60. I think I'm going to probably reach level 58 before that. And look at how much credits this is going to cost me. This is going to cost me stamina to get, because there isn't that many ways to just get raw credits without having to spend the stamina. Like, even the rewards that we're getting from the event, I don't think you can purchase stamina with the currency. Yeah, I'm like level 58. Can I get to level 59? Maybe, just really. Okay. And yeah, I'm not gonna get to level 60 with all of this, but just look at all the XP I've used, and this is basically probably gonna be 600,000 credits in total, probably, right, to get to level 60, and not including all this XP that I'm gonna have to use. So I would be wary of what characters you give your resources to, and really just focus on 6 characters. That is the number one thing I'd like to tell my past self, right? Alright, and now the second thing is, you might be looking at that screen and like, wow, you have 265 stamina. How do you have that? I only have 240. Well, I'm glad you asked. Come to Ark City with me. Yep. The research facility. And once you're in here, you can go all the way. Yeah. Extra Aether storage. Right here, this gives you an extra 25 stamina. And I'm pretty sure there's another one. Oh, yeah. Right. I landed it on the first go. Let's go. Here's the second one. So this is probably going to be another 25. So either that, or I don't know, I don't have it unlocked, but that's just more stamina that you'll be able to get passively, meaning that you don't have to like log in twice if fearing that you overcap, because this game doesn't have any overflow system yet. It's still early, it's a month in, and this game has been so fun, but it is research intensive. I understand if you're playing more casually, you're not going to care about this. Like, why do you care? It's just fun to do chaos runs. But if you're like me, that really wants to try to do end game content, then focusing on these kind of things is pretty good. And I'm not fully like stamina refreshing. I've only used a little bit just to rush to 50, like very sparingly. Like today, I barely was willing to do 4 just to do credits, and I've already spent all the credits. You see, I don't have any left. So the nice other thing about the research facility is that you can focus on the policies. The policies are how you're going to get more of the currency in order to upgrade the research notes. You'll get more research notes in the shop, and then you'll be able to upgrade the facility. And also you can get weekly rewards right here that you'll get. Potentially I'll get 90 at the end of the week if I can fulfill requirements, which I already have. And it becomes significantly easier because I have done this, which lets it deteriorate less. So now that it's 100, as you saw earlier, it's gonna deteriorate less for when it resets, and then it'll be easier to climb for me. And then I'll have more policies every day because I've got this one, which reduces the amount of time. And the other thing that is good about this is that it gives you affinity for your agents. Now, I know I threw a lot at you, but the research facility may look daunting, but it's important because of all these factors. Giving you more Aether, giving you affinity for your agents, which I'm going to talk to you about in a second. And lastly, being able to decrease the time required for your policies, because that's how you're going to be able to farm for the necessary currency. See, the necessary currency in order to progress this. Once you have this whole thing filled, it's not going to be necessarily useless, because in No shop right here you'll be able to get this, which is really nice. It lets you basically handcraft one artifact or memory fragment of your choosing, like the very primary stat, and it's a pretty scarce resource. I think the only other place you can get it, besides, you know, maybe events later on, is gonna be right here into the simulation. And then we come over to the Basin of Hyperspace. You'll be able to unlock this later. First you'll unlock Dimension of Dawn, and then once you can clear all Dimension of Dawn, you'll get Dimension of Twilight, which does reset. It has 17 days on it for me right now. So this is a good thing to keep in mind if you're gunning for endgame. This is a resource that you'll have to keep in mind when it resets, right? Because here you can get, like I said, this very scarce resource that lets you craft different artifacts. And then you can also have the potential to buy a partner straight up. These are nice 4-star partners. These are all pretty universal. I think this is probably one of the best FTP ones for Magna. And all of them are just generally pretty good. Obviously, they're not 5 stars, but I mean, they are pretty suitable for what they do. And partners are pretty nice to have. Just having to upgrade from your, you know, basic one that you can get pretty early, I think it's pretty worth spending the currency here if you can actually grind these two different end games. And I just got the pop of this as I've been playing for 4 hours. Well, anyway, this game's fun. The growth guide is probably the thing that you're going to be looking at the most. It's going to be giving you the XP and the currency and just the resources you need to build your characters. So if you're ever lost, you just come in here and then you just try to aim to fill out your growth guide and keep climbing, because that's how you're going to get a lot of your better resources and getting them more efficiently to level up your characters. If you're wondering what the most likely roadblock you're going to hit, it's either going to be a level cap, so you can either use your stamina obviously to level up or grind certain levels that hopefully give you enough XP, or it's going to be affinity. Thankfully, the devs have understood that affinity is a problem, and they have been giving us a ton of gifts in order to max out in affinity enough so that we're not stopgate by that. In the meantime, I'll tell you a trick or two on what you'll need to upgrade your affinity, and also what you should be using your stamina if you cannot use it for the growth guide. Alright, and here we are to talk about affinities. If we come to the Ark City and then click on one of these buildings, you can see all the different types of buildings. A lot of the characters like to hang out in one building or the other. If you see one unlocked, then you have to unlock it. The reason why they're locked is because they're locked behind the research facility. you'll have to unlock the nodes to be able to get the buildings. So hopefully the character that you want to hang out with is in one of the open ones, but you can be unlucky and be wondering, where is the character that I want to talk to? It's probably hanging out in one of the buildings that are locked away, which is unfortunate, but I've been pretty lucky, so I think the game balances out and tries to give you your characters in the open spots. But if you can't find them, that's probably why. They're probably on a locked building, unfortunately. But if you do find the character that you want to hang out with, let's see, if I want to hang out with Magna right here, I would click her. I would click spend time and spend a communication pass. I have 4 because I unlocked on the research facility. Just another reason why the research facility is great. You usually have 3, and they're important because you use them to go on dates, which also gives you the possibility to give you gifts and increase affinity. And gifts also give affinity by themselves. So that's why those are important. And if you've already done a date with them and you want to double dip, if you go into chaos and they end up mind broken, you can go into psychotherapy and give them counseling, because there's a chance that they might be too stressed out and have the mental breakdown still. So you'll have to either delete their memory, which deletes the save data, and if you don't really care about the save data in general, then it's not the worst thing. But if you counsel them and use a communication pass, you can double dip and give them more affinity on top of the dating for every day, and you'll be able to save the save data on top of it. So overall, being able to use your communication passes are important. However, if you use all your communication passes, the only way to counsel is to use crystals. So I would be careful on how you use them and how liberally you use them. Maybe you just want to use them only for chaos runs because you want to, you're gonna have to counsel multiple characters. But like I said, you can double dip, and if you run out of communication passes, you can use a little bit of your crystals. I know it's annoying, it is still a gacha game, but if you're in a tight spot and you don't want to lose the save data, you can use a little bit of your crystals in order to still counsel. Or you can just delete the memory, right? So you can use the character once again. Alright, we're talking about how you get your affinity. Let's talk about how to use your stamina efficiently. I used it just on whatever, but now that I know a little bit better, I would not use it on growth because I'm having to use it on units and XP now, and I don't really want to. But that's something that you probably don't want to do, especially if you followed my instruction or my warning at the very least to not go past 6 characters because you only have so many resources. Going to here for the combatants and for the partner resources, you only have to do this to reach the certain thresholds. So I wouldn't really grind this because there's no reason to be grinding this, especially the higher you get, the more of the manuals you'll get. It does cap out at the 50, and the 5 isn't that bad to get some of the golds. But I mean, the best thing to be using your stamina is just on the potentials themselves. Like, you get a pretty decent handful of blues and you can probably get 1 or 2 golds, which is really nice, and you can use them on multiple characters. If you have multiple characters with the same color, then you'll be able to use the potentials on them. And the nice thing is, even if you get a whole bunch of these blues, you can merge them up, which is nice because some games you cannot merge up resources. In this game, you can merge them up from the get-go. And obviously, once you hit level 50, you get the higher one. Now, memory fragments, you'll have to do a certain amount for the growth guide, but you probably shouldn't be focusing on this until you reach 50. That's why I've been holding off and I've been rushing to 50, because once you get to 50, you're no longer locked at this 5. You can start doing 6, which at 5, I felt like sometimes I wasn't even seeing a gold. At 6, I do feel like I see a gold every one, and all the rest of them afterwards are only locked behind if you can do it or not. If you can clear the previous stage, you can do it. So it's just a matter of getting good, meaning also having better characters. That's the only stop gate. Before this, it's a level lock, and you don't see enough of these gold ones, which are important because the only way to get the dust in order to craft is to get gold, and it feels like you're wasting stamina because if you're not getting the golds, you're not being able to efficiently break down your artifacts to get better artifacts. That's why I've held off to 50, and you should probably just get the bare minimum, like a blue and green for your characters, and not spend copes and copes, not spend a lot of different stamina on this activity. Just spend it on the potential if you don't know what to spend it on. And lastly, if you haven't done your weekly, you should just do it. If you only have whaling, the whaling one, you should just do it, because the fear encounter you can only unlock after 40. And fear encounter, the feather, you can use it on everyone, and the whaling one, you can use it on the higher tier for certain potentials. But either way, you'll have to use one of the other resource, and you'll be stopgate because the resource is only allowed to be farmed 3 times per week. So it's better to farm it early than not to farm it at all. And if you can't get the fear encounter, just do the whaling for the week, right? You'll probably get the fear encounter by your week 2 or week 3. So don't sweat it if you only have to do whaling, because some of the characters still use it. The feather one is the one that everyone uses. That's why it's the one I wanted to rush to when I wanted to get to level 40, because you can see on everyone's potential right here, the 2 highest ones, they always use the feather on every unit so far. So if you're wondering what the feather is for, it's for this. And then for the higher graded levels, you can see they use the eye. And potentials are just overall good. The other thing I would tell myself, now that we're a month into the game, just know what potentials are worth upgrading or not. On my Magna, I'm probably going to just upgrade her fully just because I really like the character, so I don't care. But in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have upgraded this, because upgrading the shield is kind of whatever. I like to use the basic shield, but it's not worth when I can just fully upgrade her unique cards, right? And then the basics, like, are, if you're gonna add basics into your deck, then this is okay. But now that we know how the point total comes down to, you can now calculate whether or not you want basics, and having more stats on them, it's going to depend on whether or not you prefer to have basics in your deck or not. If you don't want any, this can be left at 1. This can be left at 1 down here. So these can be left at 1. You can go this at full max, and then you can upgrade these. So it allows you to map out what you should and shouldn't be using your resources on. So now that we're a month into the game, a lot of people now understand better what to level up and what not to level up. If I told myself what I shouldn't do, I probably shouldn't have leveled this at all. Left this at 1, left this at 1, fully upgrade this, fully upgrade this. Probably left this at 1 and then grab this and maybe have skipped out on this. But I really like Magna, so I'm probably just gonna fully max out the whole tree. But if I was trying to optimize and just try to use my resources wisely, I would keep in mind and probably look at some guides. I would probably leave this at 1, like I said earlier. This is 1, max out, grab this, leave this at 1, and then call it a day. This one is must have most of the time on every character, and usually advances the game plan. This is usually going to be picked up on every character too, because it's like a unique buff to uniques. And then if we're talking about the basics, this one's usually optional or not even have or some characters don't even have it at all because they don't really care about the basics. So it's kind of, you can kind of see why you would leave some at 1. So just to progress and have your character in a certain potential allows you to keep going forward. So you can have this at just 1 and this at 1, and then you can keep going up the tree. So that's why it would be important to know what kind of resources you want to dump into a character and where, so that you can spread it to the other characters. And then the last thing I would talk about is if you already have chaos, I would use your loot credit towards the very end of the week, the loot certification card, because if you're early progression, the more you progress, the more likely you're going to get more off of your loot certification, because you're going to be in a higher threshold and a higher level. And the lower level that you use it, if you use it at the beginning of the week as you're progressing, then this loot certificate isn't going to give you as many rewards, right? So I would use it towards the end when you can clear higher chaos. Obviously, if you can't really clear the chaos, I would just clear in general. Doing nightmare mode is really fun because you can get all the potentials, but it's really hard to just clear. So don't be afraid to just do the normal one just to do the clear, right? And maybe turn down the difficulty 1 just to get just to use them, because it's better to use the loot certificate than not to use it at all. But if you're gonna use them and you're leveling up, I would use them towards the end of the week. I've stabilized and I'm pretty much probably gonna get the same reward now than I would have later. So I used it earlier in the week, but like I said, if you're leveling up, then you should probably use it towards the end because you'll be able to get more loot. The other thing about chaos is if you reach 40 and you have 0 system, you should just switch from chaos to 0 system. If you're afraid of trying to get the reward, right, because you can unlock certain cards that you don't have access to unless you have a higher planet level, you can still get the planet levels from the 0 system in general. And the nice thing about the 0 system is that it gives you a lot of different perks just from doing the 0 system, which is a lot of quality of life to have versus the other one, on top of being able to make it a little bit harder for more rewards and better save data. So once you're just able to get to 0 system, I would just stop doing chaos and jump to 0 system. I understand coming in here and trying to focus for the card reward. That's what I was doing in order to do a video, but if I wasn't trying to do that, I would just strictly skip the 0 system, because just getting more and more upgrades is more beneficial than trying to grind out just for a certain card that you can probably get just by clearing more 0 system. So I think I've gone over everything I want to touch on. Obviously, new season drop, so there's a whole bunch of different stuff, and the shop lets us get a feather, lets us get materials. So thankfully the devs are giving us more materials to get. Like I said, there's no credits here. I was pretty sure, and I am correct, there are no credits here to be had. Later on this, I believe maybe it's going to be supply 3 or supply 2, they will allow us to buy a free ego. So it's Constellation or Eidolon, but you'll be able to get a manifest ego for any character. So make sure to be able to participate in this season. I would make sure to do it if I could. As soon as you clear, I believe, the first story in general, the first chapter, you should be able to get into this. I would just hop into it as soon as possible in order to be able to claim my rewards. Don't have to go to the highest chaos, right? You just have to get to the chaos that you need in order to be able to participate. They also put out a patch note that they'll also be able to use the zero system to participate in it. I'll talk about that when it comes out so I understand fully what they meant, but don't feel completely restricted that you can't do this because you're not strong enough. You should participate, and it's a means to have more fun, right? Because there are more cards in the pool. I'll talk about these cursed cards in a new video. And then they also changed Outbreak of War. I feel like they should have kept Outbreak of War as the text, but now it's called Initiation, and then there's Initiative, which is basically lead. I felt like they should have left Outbreak of War and lead, but you know, they're trying their best. I've covered everything, but if there's anything I left out or anything I should point out next time, leave it in the comments, and thanks for watching.